What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Joe and Matty Talk New York Sports, episode 20. Some football news and some hockey news. We're not really going to talk about the Knicks' little mini disaster and the whatever was going on with
There's enough
MLB.
disasters to go around. We have one highlight in our life. Thankfully, it's probably the best start that I've ever seen, I'm pretty sure. And then the
Yeah,
other ones, it's just disasters. Where do you
yeah.
want to start? Good or bad news?
Let's start with the bad. Let's start with the Giants.
Let's
Get them out of the way.
All right. So that game was horrible to watch
Mhm.
against Miami this week.
Yeah,
I understand Miami's defense has been playing better. They haven't been doing it against great competition. They won 4 in a row. I get it. Some of the throws from Glennon were horrific. The offensive line stinks. I agree with you. Barkley still looks like he doesn't have that gear, or he had trouble catching the ball the other night.
uh,
I mean, the receivers drop passes. Evan Ingram,
yeah,
goodbye. Like, this team is so bad. And it's a shame because, again, Patrick Graham, the coach for the defensive side, has been able to cobble something together despite his injuries, despite the zero lack of pass rush. They lost their captain, Blake Martinez, of the defense. Logan Ryan was out 2 weeks. He was back. But, like, the defense is able to hold it. The offense is it's like jet level bad. It's
it's pretty. Yeah,
pathetic. They can't
it's
get further. You have no faith that I saw someone on Twitter, one of the reporters for the Giants, just be like, "There's a better odds of the defense scoring than the offense scoring." And when I was sitting there watching that game, I'm like, "Yeah,
yeah.
better chance of Tua throwing a pick six than the Giants." How else are they going to get the ball down the field?
New York field goal Giants.
Oh my God! It's
It's
just why they
it,
didn't go for a 4th and 2 from the
it's a
40 when you
joke.
can't
It's
score.
it's it's the coaching. It's everything Matt put together. Like it's just in offensively with the coaching. And I watched episode of Boomer and Geo getting ready for this episode of the podcast, and they were they were talking about Barkley, and they're like
Tucker.
Boomer was saying he was like Barkley doesn't even look comfortable in his own shoes. Like it doesn't look like he wants to get hit. And he's like, I think the best thing for Barkley is he's just got to get the
Yeah,
heck out
get
of
to a
this
new town.
organization like this because I think Barkley's very talented, and I know probably if he leaves the Giants, he'll go somewhere else and be great. And yeah,
Lost you
we
for a
might.
second.
Well, yeah, I was just saying that Barkley, we know if he goes somewhere else, he might be great, and that might be a lot really annoying to Giants fans. But I think that needs to happen. Like there needs to be a change offensively. Not saying you can't build on what you have defensively, but then you have the
I
fact of
don't know what the contract scenario is for Barkley. Like, if they cut him, are they still paying? Because they brought this up. I heard this brought up
yeah,
was what the dead cap money for Barkley is. So if you're gonna cut him and you're still gonna have to pay him, then keep him around for another season and just see if you get anything. Uh,
yeah.
But if you cut him and you don't have to pay first round draft pick money, maybe you renegotiate him. But I agree, he's better off in a new place. It's looking more and more like you have to spend both of the first round picks on offensive linemen, despite you, or one of them must be an offensive line, and one of them that you could go for a defensive lineman who could rush the passer if one of those two big guys fall to you. Doesn't look like there's any quarterbacks from what I read about the draft. It could be the first draft in years where there's not a quarterback in the first round. That tends to
I
always
don't
change, though.
I don't think that I don't think the result's different if Jones is in that game. If you want my honest opinion,
I think they
because
score one more touchdown. I think they still lose.
it's the
He's
same
not.
offense. Like there's no pass
I
protection.
know
The guys are dropping
Glennon's.
balls. Like it's really like you only have Jones running the ball. Like that's the
Let's
difference.
think of that starting roster. You can't get rid of Galladay based on his contract. I'm sure you
And you
can't.
have Tony. That's fine. I think
Tony,
those guys can get better.
and Tony's your slot guy. Shepard, I don't know what his contract is, but if you're a new GM, you have to decide. If you could get rid of Shepard without costing too much money or trade Shepard, I would say that is an option.
Yeah.
Slayton provides no interest to me whatsoever. I feel like he just benefited by being open, but he had dropped the ball all season. He's hasn't shown separation. He's brought nothing to the table. Evan Ingram, same as Saquon Barkley. I don't care how fast you are how great you look in practice. When it comes to games, you stink. I
Yeah.
mean, so many scores have gone wrong, or so many third down and like fours where he's like stumbling, tripping over his feet, and the ball's bobbling all over the
Well,
place.
you watch like other teams, and I was watching like Seattle's game yesterday. It was a great game, and you see other teams and who are going through difficulties, but you can turn on the TV and you could be like, all right, it's a 3-8 season, it's a 4-7 season. But you know what though? I'm excited to watch my team play today. I don't think I'm not excited to watch
And
the Giants every
this is
Sunday. And
my except Ray Hanley when he was a coach was the worst coach I've ever seen. But instead of that, like I have no idea.
it's
Like
painful. It's very painful to
I
watch.
can't remember it being this bad. The
And I
Giants.
just think I think almost everything has to be changed. And then you look after post
Well, if we
game.
keep going, like they have two wide receivers. I think they could use all new tight ends.
You could build off that, and if you could build off Booker, but to me, you still need a new quarterback and you still need a new offensive line.
Problem is they have like $1 million in cap space. They have Andrew Thomas coming back. They have Matthew Pert coming back. Shane Lemieux, who knows what he's going to be when he comes back because he had such a serious injury. Nick Gates, the same. Don't know how serious his injury
but
is.
still with those guys, that's not a good offense.
No, it's not like they were 10-year Pro Bowlers. They were just highly. The Giants loved him. Nobody else in the league was scared of him
like
whatsoever.
Nick Gates was good, and I thought Lemieux had a couple good games, and Andrew Thomas was coming around this year.
Yeah,
but they were still giving up pressure. Like pressure, Jones still had a lot of pressure.
Oh, he has tons of pressure. Yeah, none of these guys have been impressive. They were hoping together as a unit in year 2 it would click, but we lost 2 of the guys before it even started. Then their replacements like Billy Price, Matt Skura, those guys are who knows. But you need depth. They're not signed. Thank God Nate Solder's gone. Will Hernandez will probably be gone because he's been a total bust as a draft pick. Fullback, sure, Elijah Penny's pretty good, but
to me, you look at the 3 failed projects of Dave Gettleman that are the reason this team is
offensive
terrible.
line, defensive line, and quarterback.
I would defensive line could be better.
Or you saying Barkley was one of them?
I'm gonna say Barkley, Jones, and the offensive line. Drafting Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones are turning out to be pretty big mistakes right now because
you're not winning
with protection or not. On Daniel Jones, you're not winning, and it's not clicking, and it's year 3. Like it's year 3, and it's still.
I get all the, and people are saying, and I've said this too. Like you got a new coach in there every year for Daniel Jones. I truly don't feel like he's ever gotten a legit chance. But he's never
it's NFL though.
I know, but he hasn't turned the corner where like. You talk about like a Russell Wilson or an Aaron Rodgers, a guy who's just won a game on his own because he's made like spectacular plays. Like it.
And if I'm being honest with you, Joe Judge, these rest of the games might be playing for his job. Because
it's looking worse and worse every week.
What he said in post game yesterday was terrible. He was like, they
were killing him for today.
They were asking him about like offensively, like what's like you say positives. What were the positives? He's like,
there was nothing positive.
He's like, I think Ingram's making a lot of good plays. Kenny Galladay made a lot of good plays.
Ingram stunk.
And he's like, I think we're just missing a little bit.
Galladay, I thought he left the game partially, didn't he, with an injury?
Rib
injury.
Yeah.
He looks great when the ball's thrown to him. What is that? 6 times this season? He has no touchdowns.
But
no touchdowns. You're $18.5 million free agent, 0 touchdowns. And
Joe Judge is sitting here talking about like, oh, I think we're just not clicking. I'm like, not clicking. I don't think there was any point in this game that you thought you were going to score a touchdown, let alone like
do anything impressive.
Exactly. Like
the offense never looked like it had a chance. Like you were hoping for a punt return, some sort of field, throw it up for passing interference.
At the end of the day, it's the Dolphins who are still under 500 too. Like this is not a great
coming
team.
Off beating like the Texans and the Jets. It wasn't like
they lost to the Jaguars, like to a backup kicker hitting a 50-yard field goal. Like I think we should chill out with like the greatness. Like it's too many excuses, and the problem is now the offense looks worse that Jason Garrett's gone, and that's Joe Judge's scapegoat. It's like
Well,
now that's the scapegoat, and now they look like idiots.
well, I mean, I think everyone wanted Jason Garrett gone for a while, and that was the Jason Garrett is one of the only coaches Joe Judge didn't bring in, along with the other offensive line coach that Jason Garrett brought in. But you're not going to be able to fix an offense mid-season that can't block anyone anyways. This doesn't make a difference. You could put the Bill Walsh in as the offensive coordinator right now. He's not going to be able to fix this in the current state. I don't.
Well, that's what I think it was funny. I think Jason Garrett deserved to be fired, but I thought it was kind of funny. And I'm not saying the Giants were like this, but a lot of fans were like, well, let's see. Like maybe this turns this around. I was like, it's the same offense. Like Freddie,
Sometimes coaches if you had a bunch of all-stars on the field and they were just not connecting, maybe changing the plays can make it happen. But when your guys are dropping the balls, can't block, and can't do the basics, and have 8 million penalties, I mean, a delay.
Well, that's what they've included. It seems like they have included Barkley more, but he's like you said, dropping balls. He's a terrible pass blocker, and he's afraid of getting hit.
He bobbles to catch it, where the guy's tackling him by the time, nothing is crisp. You see other guys like on the 49ers running out for a screen pass. The ball is led in front of them. They take off and running. Even in that game with Waddle dropped that screen pass or the slant across the middle, he catches that, he's gone for a touchdown.
It's just ridiculous, and I'm so tired of these plays the last 2 weeks, right out of the backfield. And this is on the offensive line. And honestly, I feel like also a little bit on the running back. 4-yard loss right off the line. A handoff right off the line. And then getting a pass for -6 yards. Or I remember last week, it was
just drop the ball.
They lost 13 yards on a play. That was
a pass.
Yeah,
it's like new ways to find.
That's what I'm saying. It's like they're trying to be bad. Let's not score a touchdown this week.
Yeah, quarterbacks sneak it 3 times in a row and then punt, and maybe the defense will get an interception. The offense is as bad as I've ever seen, and it's just everyone looks emotionally out of it, and it's a shame because the defense is playing hard and they're playing good enough to win games.
Yeah, and
I have not totally given up on Joe Judge. I think he's handling the media the wrong way. When you have to own that
he's
suck.
Losing me. He's losing me.
He's losing me too. And that was a big thing. He's losing me for sure. And if they don't kind of level the ship, I'm not saying win out or do that. I don't know, maybe win 2 games, but just perform solid without a million penalties down the stretch. Look, we've seen Bill Belichick fail in his first attempt at coaching. Yeah. We've seen a Bill Parcells struggle out of the gate. We've seen a lot of coaches that struggled for 2 years, struggled in first stops. So I get it. It's not easy to do, but I also don't think they have the talent on offense. So now's your shot. You got rid of the people you didn't hire. You got a couple games to make it a little better. I don't know what Daniel Jones not being on the field, though. If he doesn't play the rest of the year, it's going to be.
He's losing. It's really, to me, with Jones is you look at the stats and you're like, well, okay, he's had a pretty good year besides the Rams game, but that's one game. That's okay. Everyone's going to have that one game that's terrible.
Well, it's like you're going to have more than one.
Even though he's had a good season, I don't know statistic wise, but I know he's had a good season. I still don't think at the end of the year, though, that the Giants are well, this is the future, because it's still not working.
And then
there's no chemistry between Barkley was good, and I see a very big difference between Barkley with Eli and Barkley with Daniel Jones. There was a clear difference to me. I don't know if you saw it.
I think that has to do with the roster and Barkley's knee, because
Barkley doesn't want to get hit. Everyone knows that he is on, and it's kind of sad.
I don't blame him. I don't know what he feels like. So Barkley, I'm not going to kill. You get injured, who knows what's going on? But the reality is what we see, right? It's not good. Yeah. It's not worth a Hall of Fame pick.
And I agree with Boomer Esiason what he said today. He's like, this is a problem I don't see getting better. And I agree. I do not see Barkley getting better.
The only way this could have gotten better is if the Giants were winning some games this year, so there wasn't a focus on everything that's going wrong. But the fact, if Daniel Jones maybe was having a Pro Bowl quality year and they still weren't winning, but there was that optimism that maybe then people would be more forgiving of okay, he's coming back from an injury. It's okay.
Mhm.
But when you're losing like this and just an utter stink fest across the thing, like there is not one person even worthy of Pro Bowl consideration, like even thinking about a vote.
I
Like,
mean, Tony would, but he's hurt. So like, yeah,
yeah,
no
he
one
hasn't played enough
offensively.
games.
I don't even think what's it Devin? Is it Devin Booker? I forget his first name all the time. But like,
He's
I don't. He hasn't played enough. Like it's
no.
no one
Like
offensively
there's
will be.
you look around the league and you see the quarterback for the Chargers, you see Burrow in
Oh,
Cincinnati, and like they're well, Cincinnati's winning this year and San Diego's winning, but those you guys you see right away, like they've got something different.
That's something I was just about to touch on,
Like
and
two is in the same boat as
yeah, and
San
we
Diego.
we get that like I clearly understand that Justin Herbert has Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, and Mike Williams, and that Joe Burrow's got Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and
He's got a loaded
others
set.
that I can't think of right now,
Got
and
half the
Joe
country.
Mixon, who's having a ridiculous year.
Yeah.
So like, I understand that, but I do agree with you when you say that there's a difference. You can see, and with Daniel Jones, he had those those two games to kick off his career that he played well. But since then, it's just like we haven't seen that spark that you
That's
see.
and I in my deep down in my heart, and I know this is a fan, this is not reality speaking, is I want to believe that it's just his confidence is crushed and that it can be like this year I hoped that if going into the offseason they were going to build on the offensive line and for 1 year he would be like, okay, like going into the season I was like
This year, yeah,
get an offensive line. You got Galladay. You have Tony. You have Shepard. Barkley should be healthy, and you could see like you have a lot more confidence when the team around you is making plays, doing things, and you don't feel like you have to do everything. I feel like Jones feels like he has to be the
yeah.
savior, and it's just making it worse.
And
I think
you
he's a
have
quarterback, an
yeah.
NFL quarterback.
You have talent, and like the
Yeah,
Giants
there
do have
are.
talent. Like when if you tell me, okay, when Galladay's healthy, when Kyle Rudolph's healthy, who's been turning it around at the last couple games, Tony's healthy, and when Shepard's healthy, I'm telling you that's a pretty nice four.
Yeah,
Like
that,
I'm not saying that I'm not saying that's
that's
top
pretty
10
damn
in the
good though.
league. I'm saying that's top 20, and I'm saying that's okay. Like that's not bad. Like that's not. We
No,
need to
I
fix that.
That's good, I think, honestly. If
It's
Tony plays
just
what we've seen when he's healthy, like if he is that electric, and then you have a guy, a big possession, you would have two slot receivers. I really don't believe Slayton is the speed guy they thought he is. He doesn't look.
well,
I don't
and
know what's wrong
I
with
know
him.
you don't I know you don't like when I talk about Odell, but I think the big thing in
He's
those
hurt
years,
already too.
I think he had like a 1 yard touchdown, but that's irrelevant, whatever.
No,
But
he had a nice catch on a fade touchdown, but yeah, then
he's hurt. The minor note, he's hurt his career based on what he said, but he's also had trouble with injuries, and he's kind of just to me, he's like a Cam Newton. He only could play with the Giants. That's where his success will be. But I think the difference was when he was on the Giants, and that like in
well,
because in
he had a professional quarterback who knew how to
yeah,
get the ball.
and when they in 2014 and 15 when they were below 500, I think both years were at least 8 losses. Yeah, that was definitely that.
Yeah,
Yeah, and but the difference was they were scoring a lot of long touchdowns, and their defense wasn't good. The Giants, like, have they even thrown like a 50-yard touchdown this year?
have they thrown a 20-yard pass?
Like
Or have had a
they're not
run.
a deep. Like you look at almost if in my opinion, almost every team like maybe besides the Texans, like if like you could give me teams right now to test me and see what I'd say, but almost every team that I can almost think of is has a long ball threat and can make those big plays. Except the Giants, like I may except the Giants and the Texans, maybe even the Jaguars. I think could with Laviska Shenault and Marvin Jones have a minor deep
Detroit.
like DeAndre Swift, but that's out of the backfield. So no, maybe
Yeah,
like, but with the exception
I
of
know what
two
you're
or three
saying.
teams,
It's not good. There's no, you don't have someone that the opposing DBs and defensive coordinators are like, all right, we need to totally plan around this guy. There's no Alvin Kamara. There's no
no.
scary DeAndre Hopkins. There's none of these people that you force double coverage that change the way you do stuff
Well,
on
that's what
defense.
I think. I think Gettleman went after Galladay because I think he wanted to and hopefully have something go great to make up and keep his
I
job,
like
and it
I
hasn't gone
like
well for him.
Galladay when he was with.
Yeah, I agree.
He just hasn't played. Like when you throw him the ball and a guy is draped all over him,
Yeah.
he catches it. The problem is that's happening twice a game, if that, and he's missed the other half of the game. So, it really doesn't help us too much.
Yeah, but to
Anyway,
go on a more
let's move on to
positive note,
something more positive. Yeah, oh, you were already queuing it up. Go ahead.
oh, it's so great, and it's just it's amazing, and I'll never have a love for this for any other team ever. My college team, any team that I do
Yeah, you
for
got a long life to live. Let me tell you,
that I
it
had.
changes,
I mean, no, I'd say Mikey probably likes Clemson teams over his New York team.
and
Like
that
he
will
might,
change when he's working and he's not going to having fun at
yeah.
college. So, but anyway, for
But
today,
this team, it was a lot like you and the fans who watch this could go back through the episodes and see. It's been many weeks that we've been like sat behind the computer screen and been like, they're not playing the best yet, but there's so that they wouldn't have done last year. And those words have came out of my mouth a ton on this podcast. But that to me, that's over now. Like they are the way they played against
well,
Philadelphia in that first period,
you
like
saw what
just
happened in Philly, right?
manhandling them, just so much offensive zone
Did you
time. The
see
power
Vigneault
play.
got fired?
Oh yeah, I don't really care. I don't
Caroline
really.
loved his suits.
I
I was
don't.
like,
I don't like the beard on him, and he just seems like a
Elaine Vigneault?
yeah. The
I don't think
beard.
he had it with Philly, but maybe with the end with the Rangers.
No, he did have it with Philly. He didn't have it
Oh,
with the
did he?
Rangers.
Oh, he
Oh
was trying.
well, your favorite mustache was shaved
Oh
off.
God, that was so bad. He's not a great looking dude, Gallant, but who cares?
He's I don't know what it is with the Rangers this year. I think like I was watching a video saying if it was Gorton or not, or JD and Gorton or
Gordon
not,
just got
they would
hired
still
from
be doing.
Montreal.
He did.
Yeah,
Hopefully, helps them out a little bit. They're in deep trouble, but
let's see what Canadian teams do well.
I do think the fact that it is Gallant over David Quinn. But I do think the talent, like Dryden Hunt, who is that? Like, and now he's making a difference in every game. Barclay Goodrow, you can see like the veteranness and just the know for like he has the know for the game. Like he knows you could just see it on the ice, and it's brought more confidence, I think, to the young guys and their lot. And like with Ryan Reeves, don't even get me started with Ryan Reeves. Did
Yeah,
you
he's
see that
becoming.
fight against the Rangers fans love him, and you could see it on social
There's an
media.
article. I think it was in the. I don't. Maybe I read it on social media, but I thought it might have been the post just about how
Yeah.
he's becoming a hero. How much people love him, and like
Oh,
how it's just.
it's
And
like
they were
Sean
asking him like he's
Avery.
only been in one fight. He's like people haven't really been looking
Oh, he
for him, but
crushed him too.
he's
The
like they
kid.
know I'm here, and I hopefully that makes the difference. Like just knowing that you don't
Well,
mess
the
around.
difference is everyone looks at him kind of like he's just looking to fight, but the guy doesn't take penalties. Like his
No,
hits are
yeah,
clean.
right.
He
Yeah, and
he
he
doesn't he
pounds guys into the corners and makes them know, like, oh crap, man, like it makes them nervous.
he's not looking for like
He's not a headhunter, like he's
yeah,
just
and he said in an interview this year, and it cracked me up so much. He's like, yeah, I gotta protect this. He's like, my body's a temple. You see this? He's like, I gotta protect this, and it just made me laugh. And I think he's such a team first guy, and
got a great personality,
you could
especially for
see
the
her.
New York
I
market.
love seeing that like Zibanejad and Kreider and Shesterkin, they love him. Like you see the chemistry already with him. I think that's great. And to me, the only question mark is like when's Zibanejad gonna start scoring, and then the Rangers could be like going through the roof.
Heedle too. A couple guys could use. Lafreniere could use.
That fourth line has been keeping the Rangers in some games that they start off slow. And you look,
Yeah, for some reason they haven't got the goals though. They've had like crazy
oh yeah,
opportunities.
the
So
power play is all world. I mean, I for one, I'm glad Truba the other night scored on the power play, but
let Truba. Let's talk about Truba a little.
I mean Panarin, Zibanejad, Fox, and
Wait,
Strom and
it
Kreider.
froze for a second, so I didn't know if you hear me. Did you hear like Truba? You're on board with him this year, right? You've
It's
changed your
okay,
tune,
but
correct?
there was a reason I didn't really like him
I,
last
I'm
year,
just,
but this
I don't
yeah,
want to talk about
this
this year.
year
This year you're on board.
he's taken the next step, and he's taken a leadership role that I think he didn't really have last year that he tried to get. but he's
I think he tried to get it and then he got hurt.
yeah. I mean, it's just everything to me is
Putting the
great.
puck
I
on the
mean,
net,
even
being
your
physical.
even your average guys like Nemeth and like Nils Lundqvist playing, they still are like forming together and just everything's working for now. And you say that knock on wood, but it's just I love watching their games and there's never been a point where I was like, man, like they go down against the Blackhawks yesterday. I was like, or on Saturday, I was like, I don't who cares? I know the Rangers are gonna soon take over this game and win it. And that's what happened.
Sometimes
Like,
they start a little slow, but then all of a sudden it just starts picking up.
yeah, and I'm still gonna be afraid of those teams, but now you see like Colorado coming up, and I'm thinking now the
You're
Rangers,
excited for those
yeah,
games.
the Ranger team should be afraid of the Rangers now. And I
Yeah,
think
it
like
feels good.
the goal coming into this year was like playoffs. We don't achieve that, something's wrong. And that we all agreed with that. But now I'm not saying Stanley Cup, but I'm saying do damage in the playoffs. If you're gonna play like this, the Rangers can do damage in the
Yeah,
playoffs.
we're only a quarter way through the season, so each teams tend to have lulls and level things out. So we'll see where they end up. But if they continue at a pace like this, the expectations are going to be a lot more than winning the first rounds. I mean, I was just pulled up the power rankings, and that's why I'm looking at the ceiling. It looks like here. Guess who is dead last in the league?
Oh, Islanders.
It's unbelievable. Like how
5, 10, and 5. And I said this to you on the phone the other day. I think at this point they keep losing. They
it's
can't
too
catch up.
late. Yeah, the
Like
Penguins at least are over 500. Not that I
the
like
Penguins are close. I still want to keep an eye on the Penguins because
the
they can
Bruins. They're
make a
all
run.
flirting around there, but it's just Rangers third in the power rankings that I'm looking
But
at. Who
there's a
would have thought?
difference though than it's what it's felt in the past for me when watching them because this is
Completely
now
different.
sustained. Like if you look Gallant, like there's a clear strive in the team, and like Gallant's like, oh, I thought our first 10 games were really bad, and I was like, well, like the record's not bad. Like through the
Yeah.
first 10 games, like it's actually pretty good. And now they're 16, 4, and 3. Another game against the Blackhawks on the road tomorrow. And these are Georgiev's opportunities. And
You know what these are Georgiev's opportunities for? To get the trade request he wants at the deadline. I mean, let's
yeah.
face it, you could hear it in the way he speaks too. He was not feeling good about his opportunity. He knows this is an opportunity. I know we don't, unless you've heard anything new. I haven't really heard anything about Shesterkin's injury as far as any updated timing or something. But you
It's not
know
gonna
the
be too
Rangers are
long.
going to try to get him to play. If he could get 3 more good games in, and Shesterkin's back, and Georgiev's reputation is restored, knowing that he wants to be dealt, knowing the Rangers need some salary cap help, they will move him at the deadline. So it's a good opportunity for both
Mm.
him and the Rangers. If he could
They could
perform, he'll
pick up
get his
another
wish.
veteran forward. Like the
Yeah,
Rangers could
he'll
pick
get his
another center.
wish to replace whoever gets injured down the stretch for a rental or something
I
like that.
don't know why they did not bring up Keith Kincaid. I don't know why they brought up that other freak, Adam Huska. I don't really know anything
I,
about, but
who knows?
I agree with you.
Anything
If
Benoit Allaire does, I'm going to be okay with.
I think I don't even want it's because tomorrow starts the first game of a back to back. I don't even want to. I want to see Georgiev play both games. Like they
But
need
he's
to
gonna.
challenge,
Yeah, I agree with you.
and
This is
he's
his time. Get him in there. If it's
and
6 games in a row,
it's just he's very squirmy. That's the thing. Like when I'm watching Georgiev, like he did a 360 the other day, like and the puck went off the post. I was like, what just happened?
there's a
Like,
lot of moving parts.
but with Sturkin, everything's so secure and like he's the new Lundqvist. Like it's amazing what Shesterkin's doing. That's why you have to protect him and keep him, bring him
Yeah,
back at 100%
be
because
conservative with
he's the reason the Rangers are where they are right now.
100%. Like in the power rankings I'm reading, it's good news that they don't think it's serious because he's the leading candidate for the Vezina. Now, speaking of little
I
trivia,
heard a week. I heard a week. A
that's what I
week,
heard too.
not too
But
much longer.
both of us are nervous about their cryptic hockey news because the next thing you know, a week turns to 10 days, and then the next thing you know, you've missed a month.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at CBS's power rankings right now for the NHL.
Mhm.
I told you the Rangers are third. Just see how well you could guess the other ones.
I would say first, I would go with the Capitals.
Capitals are not in the top 5.
Oh wow. So then I would think either the Panthers, the Maple Leafs, the
Right.
Rangers,
So you
the
have
the
the
Calgary Flames.
Panthers are not in the top 5.
The Flames and the Leafs have to be.
Did the Flames fire their coach and GM today?
No, that was not Philly.
Oh,
There was another
Vancouver
team.
did. Vancouver did.
Yeah.
So CBS, which is, well, they do have the right date. Yeah, 16-4, has Lightning number 1, has Wild number 2.
What is the? Don't even start with the. I can't even take it. Like, there's no way the Minnesota Wild are better than the Rangers. Like, it
As they've
bothers
won
me
6
so
in a
much.
row. Isn't your boy on the Wild?
Zuka,
Yeah. You don't like him
whatever.
anymore? I love Zook.
No,
I would take Zook back at a deadline trade.
I would love Georgiev for Zook. That would. I don't know what
I
that
don't
would
think
do
that's
to the
going to happen, but
team.
that would.
Like, that
I
would
don't
be
know where he would play, but
that would be Kako. You know what I'm trying to say. That would mean Kako, you're out of the first line, and it's back to Zibanejad, Kreider, and Zuccarello. But
number 4, they got
God,
the
it was
Maple
such a good line.
Leafs. 5 is the Hurricanes, and then you get Panthers, Flames,
After they beat the
Oilers,
Sabres
Capitals,
6-2.
Avalanche.
I think Tampa's not going to do it again. Like, there's just too many good teams there. I don't even put them in the top 5 in my power rankings.
As long as they got Steven Stamkos, like it's like the Penguins used to be. Like their whole lineup maybe doesn't scare you. Then all of a sudden, you know who lights it up in the catches fire for a month, and they're just
Yeah.
scoring every play. And
That's
these
what I'm saying. That's
never
like,
looked up
if
for
the
like snipers.
Rangers, that's why they need to get. I think they like. I'm not worried about Zibanejad because he's putting up points, but I'm worried about the goals total. And if he can if he can get that going, that can pick up some slack for someone else that cools down. Like
Well,
Kreider.
yeah, and
Now
that's what I
Kreider
think.
is most likely going to cool down
Yeah,
for a
there's no
little
way
bit. Like,
if he keeps his pace, it'd be insane. So you
he's
agree.
never scored 30 goals in his career, and he has 16
I
in a
think
quarter of the
Panarin's
season.
the only one who I could realistically believe is going to be consistent at an insane pace
Oh,
because that
Adam
as long.
Fox. Adam Fox for me
Oh,
over
very true,
Panarin.
very true. Those two guys are just.
Do you see, like, Adam Fox is like a goalie? Like, they gave a hard saucer pass on the power play to the point. No one's here, and this guy's just like kicking it up to his skate, and he is. I tell you what, I like the Rangers have a lot of talent. Panarin's ridiculous, and what he was doing the other night's crazy.
Panarin's ridiculous.
Ziban,
Zibanejad
Kreider,
putting.
they're called crazy. But I've never seen anything of like what Adam Fox is doing on a daily basis. Like how
I
he,
think in my lifetime, like I remember Leach being like that and Messier being like that. They just willed plays to happen. Like
and
I wish
on.
I would have
You
watched
might not agree
Messier
with
because
this.
Messier would do
Yeah,
anything that was needed. Like they're emotionally down and trailing
yeah,
3 goals, he'd pick their fighter and he'd go fight them and inspire the whole team and get the energy going.
yeah.
They need goals. They're in a shootout game. You get a hat trick. Like you forget he's like top 10 all time in scoring, and he's in penalty minutes, and he's like was a bruiser. Like he was
Yeah.
ridiculous. Whatever it took, clutch. Panarin has been tremendous. He doesn't have the physical presence, but he does
He's
play great
strong though.
defense.
He's still
Yeah,
strong. He's
but he's
strong
not
on the
going to
ice.
fight guys and like level check them into the boards where they remember that. That's where
I
Messier
wanna
has.
I wanna tell you. Well, first before I say that, you might disagree, but Adam Fox right now is on pace to be better than not Messier, to be better than Brian Leach. He's on pace now to win the
I
Norris
know.
Trophy again.
Yeah, but
He leads the
I
league
agree.
in
But
NFL
let's not
scoring.
project careers onto people until they've been here for a while. Like
It's
that's just too much pressure to put on him. Like to say, oh, you're going to be 10 times best defender. Like people start saying that with Leach too.
yeah,
The once you become a famous people, you get a lot more attention. You get a lot more people paying attention to you, and your stats probably recede a little, and you'll have ebb and flows with whether your goalie's good or whether your goalie's not good. Their team's good, your team's
yeah.
not good. But yes, he has a very Leach-like presence where they're just calm and smooth, and the puck goes from the back all the way into the other zone, and you don't even know how it got there.
It's just so great to wake up in the morning, even during the off season, and realize I've got Zibanejad, I've got Panarin, I've got Kreider, I've got Shesterkin and Fox for years. I don't like just a couple like I know Shesterkin's
It's a pretty
not.
good core to be confident in.
Yeah, I have that. Like that's secure. They're not really going anywhere. But I saw this video when the whole debacle with the Capitals happened last year, and where Buchnevich took like a forecheck on the ice by Tom Wilson, and
I thought
they
Panarin got drilled. And
yeah,
then
but remember Buchnevich got his hand like banged into the ice with
Tom
Wilson's
Wilson.
stick.
All right, go
But
ahead. Sorry.
I'm telling you, you see, I saw this video on TikTok, and it was Sean Avery, and I couldn't tell if it
Uh,
was a cameo. Maybe you've seen it.
Sean Avery, they put him on Boomer and Geo all the time because he does insane TikToks. Like he's screaming at people about being in the bike lane all the time. He's a half out of his mind, but I loved him when he was a Ranger.
They asked him, they were like, so what would you do? Like they're like, what do you think about the Tom Wilson scenario? And he was like he's like, with the Tom Wilson scenario, I would go around to the guys and I'd say, hey, everyone, let's cover the fine. And he said I would slowly dump the puck in, and he's like, Holtby or not, whatever their goalie is, he's like, I'd run through them like an effing bulldozer. And he was like that would send a message next time to Wilson, like, you want to touch Panarin, you want to touch Zibanejad, this is what's gonna happen, and you're not gonna like it. He's like, so you better watch out. He's like, you don't need the Players Association, you don't need whoever, he listed the guy. He's like, you don't need them to do your dirty work. He's like, just go out there and do it, and hopefully the boys cover the fine and just rip them a new one. And I was like, that's amazing. Like
I'll have to watch that. But with that, that's a great way to close. I know you got to get out of here, do some work. But with that ends 21, Matt.
Yeah, and I'll be posting. I'll get these out pretty soon, and before we know it, I think it's like 19 days away. We'll have, not on Christmas Day, but we'll do a Christmas special because we'll be together, and hopefully we could do one in the same room.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little college bowls, and it's a little exciting this year. Yeah, of course, I thought for sure. I'm glad we didn't do a podcast about it because they asked me about the college games this week. I'm like, I finally think this is the game Alabama goes down. Like, Georgia just looks too darn good, and then boom, smoked, crushed. Like,
and it's so unfortunate because it's gonna be another year that I get to spend Christmas with my uncle and not get to watch a good Giants game, where we might like that's what's sad.
Let's just focus on the Rangers. Let's take what we got and be happy. I know they do thing is you might have to come to my house for draft when we watch the Jets go 2 picks, the Giants go 2 picks, and then the Bears go with the Giants take the Bears pick. It was like, oh.
It's like that's almost like our whole that's basically our whole family, and all we cheer for. Like there's no top
football teams are all losers.
But I do know though, on the Wednesday we will get one hockey game. On the Wednesday the 22nd, they play the Canadians at home, so that's actually a pretty nice game that I could watch with you because most likely they'll win that game.
Yeah, let's go for it. We'll get something in.
Yeah.
All right. Let's hope some baseball news when we come back. Maybe something happens. I doubt we'll see that happen anything in December, but let's hope that they're not being super greedy and ruining it for all of us. Let's hope the Rangers win tomorrow. When's the next game?
The Knicks are tomorrow at the Spurs. They need to win that.
There's a team that's really went south after like a decade of greatness, if not 2 decades of greatness. Anyway.
Yeah.
Have a good night, Matty. Love you, buddy.
Love you too. See you guys next week.
See ya.